You ever notice how some people treat their trauma like a pet chihuahua? They carry it around, feed it, talk to it, let it piss all over their goals, and then wonder why no one wants to come near them. It's always yapping. My childhood was a mess. No one ever loved me. My ex ruined me. Look, your pain is valid, but if your trauma has a tighter grip on your life than your own damn hands, then congratulations, you've officially outsourced your destiny to your dysfunction. People out here will pay $7 for an oat milk latte and post quotes about self-love, but won't spend 7 minutes looking in the mirror and being honest with themselves. You want to heal? You want to rise? Then buckle up. Because healing is not sipping tea in a bubble bath while chanting affirmations. It's standing in front of the wreckage of your life and admitting, I built this trash heap, time to clean house. And that's where this book comes in. Because you can't manifest joy if you're too emotionally constipated to feel it. Buy Yourself the Damn Flowers by Tam Kaur isn't a book. It's a mirror. A brutal, unfiltered, hold it to your face until you squirm kind of mirror. It doesn't care about your excuses. It doesn't want to hear about how you're just figuring things out. It's here to tell you, your healing is your job, not your ex's, not your parents, not your therapist's, yours. Tam Kaur is not here to coddle you. She's been through the emotional gutter, betrayal, heartbreak, self-hate, and every dark pit that comes with being a woman who gave too much and got nothing in return. But instead of using that pain as a forever crutch, she turned it into a sword, and this book is her handing you the blade. Tam is a British Punjabi poet, writer, and self-made powerhouse who's turned her own breakdown into a blueprint. Her work blends poetry and personal essays with the rage and resilience of someone who finally stopped asking the world to love her and started loving herself so loudly it echoed. This isn't your grandma's self-help book. There are no softly whispered mantras here. It's war paint, it's raw, it's real. It's for the woman who's tired of being tired and done being done. Now, before we dive into the blood and guts of this thing, let's get something straight. Disclaimer. This video falls under the Fair Use Act. We're using this content for educational purposes. This isn't a summary. It's a surgical analysis designed to punch you in the gut and then offer you a hand back up. It's not enough to know what's in the book. We're going to tear it apart, challenge it, and build something better with it. If you're looking for someone to gently guide you toward healing, maybe go buy a scented candle. But if you're ready to finally drag your self-worth out of the dirt and stop romanticizing your rock bottom, welcome. It's time to talk about the chapters, and trust me, they don't pull punches. Welcome to Mindful Reads Hub. Let's get started. Unlearning self-love myths. If you think self-love is all about lighting a candle, doing a face mask, and telling yourself you're a queen or king, congratulations. You've officially been brainwashed by Instagram therapists and Pinterest quote boards. Most people have, and it's not your fault. Society fed you a steady diet of self-care that looks great in reels but does absolutely nothing to excavate the damage that's been rotting under your surface since your teens. You don't love yourself. You tolerate yourself. There's a difference. One is survival. The other is power. And Tam? She knows the difference because she spent her life being taught the same lies you did, that if you just work hard enough, look good enough, or please others enough, you'll earn love, even your own. That's the first myth this book takes a sledgehammer to. That love, especially self-love, is something conditional, that you're only worthy of kindness when you fixed yourself, performed enough, or finally stopped being too much. Tam grew up in a space, like many of us, where worth was transactional, where you earned praise by disappearing, by shutting up, by blending in and being nice. And when she finally cracked under the weight of that quiet obedience, what was left was a woman who looked successful on the outside, but was spiritually bankrupt on the inside. This section of the book is a hard slap in the face to the idea that self-love is some cute little Pinterest project. It's not a spa day. It's not a luxury, it's a fucking revolution, and it starts with unlearning, violently, everything that made you believe being broken meant being unworthy. Tam dismantles that internal voice that says, you're too damaged to be loved. She doesn't give it a microphone, she doesn't even give it the dignity of a rebuttal. She calls it out as bullshit. a lie rooted in trauma, a toxic echo of people who didn't know how to love you properly and trained you to believe their inability was somehow your fault. And let's be real, we've all internalized that nonsense. We've all had moments where we looked in the mirror and saw nothing but mess. Moments we tried to fake it till we make it, but deep down felt like frauds. Because nobody told us that true self-love doesn't look like confidence. It looks like compassion, not I am perfect, but I am still worthy, even when I'm a goddamn mess. What Tam lays out, and what most wellness influencers won't tell you, is that self-love is often ugly. It's crying on the bathroom floor and still choosing not to call the person who broke you. It's looking at the wreckage of your emotional life and deciding, yeah, I caused some of this, but I also get to clean it up. And here's the uncomfortable truth. You can't meditate your way out of abandonment issues. You can't journal your way out of generational trauma. You have to confront it, rip it out by the roots, get bloody. And Tam isn't here to make it gentle. She's here to make it real. She writes about feeling broken, like there's no whole version of herself to return to. That's relatable, because most of us don't need to get back to who we were. That person never existed. We're not rebuilding, we're building for the first damn time. And maybe that's not sad, maybe that's liberating. This section isn't motivational fluff, it's emotional excavation. Tam lays down a foundation that real self-love doesn't come after healing. It creates healing. You don't have to earn it, you just have to stop believing the people who taught you you weren't worthy of it in the first place. Let's be clear. This isn't about blaming your parents, your culture, or your ex. It's about understanding the system that made you think love was something you had to deserve. Once you see the machine, you can dismantle it. You can stop participating in your own erasure. If you're still clinging to the idea that self-love will feel good, this section will piss you off. Good. That means it's working. That means you're waking up. Because the truth is, loving yourself often feels like betrayal. Betraying your old self, betraying the people who taught you to shrink, betraying every internal voice that said, you don't matter unless you're useful to someone else. Burn it down, start again. That's Tam's message, and that's the only kind of love that will actually save you. Key takeaway, self-love isn't earned, it's reclaimed. And if your version of self-love doesn't feel like rebellion, it's probably just self-denial dressed up as healing. Favorite quote, you don't need to be fixed, you need to be found by yourself. The self-love roller coaster. You want to know the ugly truth about self-love? It's not linear. It's not a straight line to enlightenment. It's not a one-way escalator to healing. It's a fucking roller coaster, and most of you are hopping on with no seatbelt, one eye closed, and a mouth full of denial. 1 week you're journaling about boundaries. The next week you're drunk, texting the same person who shattered you like a dropped wine glass. Sound familiar? Good. Sit down, because this is where we rip the fake positivity off like a bandage. Tam Kaur doesn't write like someone trying to get you to like her. She writes like someone who's trying to save your life, and doesn't care if it hurts your feelings. This section of the book, it's not another motivational TikTok telling you to drink lemon water and cut off toxic friends. It's a reality check wrapped in emotional whiplash. Because falling off the self-love wagon, it's not a failure, it's the fucking process. Tam talks about it like someone who's been through it, and spoiler, she has. She confesses that she didn't always get it right, that some days she preached healing and spent the night crying over someone who didn't text back, that she said, I choose me in public, and then sat with her own loneliness in silence at night. And that, right there, is what makes this so powerful, because she exposes the lie that self-love is constant. It isn't. It's chaotic. It's inconsistent. And you're going to screw it up more than once. And that doesn't mean you're weak. That means you're human. The strongest people don't stay on the path. They crawl back to it over and over with their pride in their teeth. Because real self-love isn't pretty. It's gritty. It's forgiving yourself for every relapse into self-doubt, every return to the familiar pain, every I knew better moment that still happened. You don't need a vision board. You need a spine. This is where Tam Kaur digs in with tools. Not airy-fairy mantras, but practical, ruthless, real tools. You don't learn to love yourself by reading about it. You learn by doing it. even when you don't believe you deserve it yet. That means waking up and writing that gratitude list even if you feel numb. That means looking in the mirror and not flinching when the voice in your head calls you ugly, unworthy, unlovable. That means dragging yourself out of bed and into the gym or the bath or the bookstore, not because it fixes everything, but because you're worth trying for. And no, this isn't some toxic hustle culture either. This isn't just push through. This is about choice. You choose yourself, not once, not just on a Sunday after a breakdown, but daily, hourly, especially when the world and your own mind is screaming that you're not enough. You respond with action, not perfection, not even progress, just presence. Tam even calls out the fact that some of you are using self-love as an excuse. You call it a journey, but you're actually stuck in a loop. You blame healing for your stagnation. You call isolation growth when it's just avoidance. You say, I'm setting boundaries, when really you're building walls because you're scared to trust anyone again. Enough. Call it what it is. Fear. Self-love without accountability is just self-indulgence, and that's where most people get stuck. They want self-love to be a warm hug, not a confrontation with their worst habits. They want growth to feel like a victory, not a funeral. But here's the truth. Every version of you that betrayed your own worth, that version has to die, and mourning that version will break your heart before it frees it. Tam's writing doesn't beg for your attention, it demands your effort. If you want to start your self-love journey, stop talking about it and build rituals that back it up. Create a system that supports the person you're becoming. That's not toxic productivity, that's emotional survival. Do what future you will thank you for, not what present you find comfortable. You don't fall off the wagon because you're broken. You fall off because healing is heavy, because the path isn't paved and half the time you're walking it blindfolded. But if you can keep going, keep standing up, keep showing up, then you're not failing, you're becoming. And that's more radical than any affirmations you can pin to your vision board. So the next time you relapse into an old version of yourself, don't ask, why am I like this? Ask, how can I choose differently today? Not forever, not even tomorrow, just today. Because that's what this journey really is. Self-love isn't some shiny goal you hit. It's a decision you repeat until it becomes who you are. Key takeaway. Self-love is not a destination. It's a daily rebellion. If your self-love practice doesn't challenge you to break patterns and face your shit, then it's not love. It's avoidance dressed in affirmations. Favorite quote, I don't want you to love yourself perfectly. I want you to fight for yourself, even when you don't. Rebuilding after heartbreak. Let's get this straight. Heartbreak isn't a tragedy. It's a fucking detox. That person you lost, they didn't just leave. They exited your life like a toxin being purged from your bloodstream. And sure, it hurts. Withdrawal always does. But if your body shakes after letting them go, that doesn't mean they were your medicine. It means they were your addiction. Tam doesn't write about heartbreak like it's something cute to cry about while rewatching rom-coms. She talks about it like war, because that's what it is. A war between the part of you that knows you deserve better and the part of you that's still clinging to the fantasy version of the person who broke you. And you can't rebuild yourself while holding on to the rubble. You've got to let the whole house burn, even if you helped build it. She doesn't glorify the pain. She walks you through it. She owns it. The numbness, the rage, the moments when you try to call them just to hear the version of you that only existed in their presence. And then she drags you out of that emotional swamp and says, enough. Because there's a difference between grieving and drowning, and some of you are calling your stagnation healing when really you're just waiting for someone to come back and make you forget you ever needed to heal. You want to rebuild after heartbreak? Then stop looking for closure in someone who gave you silence. Stop trying to rewrite history to justify their mistreatment. Stop believing that your pain makes you poetic. It makes you human, but only if you use it to grow. Otherwise, you're just bleeding on everything and calling it art. Tam gets personal here. She shows the brutal honesty of what it feels like when someone you gave your all to doesn't even bother to return your pieces. And you know what she does instead of begging for them back? She builds something new, from scratch, from her own damn ribcage. Because sometimes healing doesn't look like restoration, it looks like reinvention. The people who break us often teach us our strongest lessons, but only if we're paying attention. Otherwise, we repeat the cycle, and Tam refuses to be on repeat. She takes her heartbreak and alchemizes it into strength. She turns pain into poetry, but not the kind you post for attention. The kind that changes you, quietly, permanently. And here's the truth you've been avoiding. It was never really about them. The whole time, it was about the version of you that believed they were the best you could get. That version, she's dead now. And your job isn't to resuscitate her. Your job is to bury her with grace and rise as someone who finally understands that loneliness isn't the enemy. Settling is. You want transformation? Good. Then stop romanticizing your ruin. Burn the letters, block the number, rip the playlist to shreds. And while you're at it, stop writing passive-aggressive quotes on Instagram and call it healing. Real healing doesn't need an audience. It just needs a decision. I will never betray myself again just to keep someone who wouldn't bleed for me. Tam doesn't leave you with just pain. She gives you tools. And more importantly, perspective. That you can rebuild a life where you are the centerpiece, not the accessory. That loving yourself deeply means letting go of the people who only love the broken pieces they could control. So if you're still sitting in your room crying over a ghost, understand this. Grief is sacred, but so is growth. And if you're doing one without the other, then you're not healing, you're hiding. Key takeaway. You don't rebuild by fixing what shattered. You rebuild by becoming someone who would never again give the hammer to the wrong hands. Your healing isn't a comeback, it's a complete transformation. Favorite quote, I stopped asking them why they left and started asking myself why I stayed.